Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are going to discuss about the Python data types. Okay, so which are the Python data types? So in the screen itself, you can see all the data types, right? So data types are classified into three. They are the numbers, mappings and sequences. Okay, so what are the data types? Okay, so in today's world, you know that everything is classified, right? Between the living organisms itself, it's classified into different categories like human beings, animals they are again classified into domestic, wild, etc., right? Similarly, the data that we are using in Python are also being classified. Okay, so these are the three classifications: numbers, mappings and sequences. Okay, so now again these numbers are classified into three. They are the integers, complex numbers and the floating point numbers. Okay. So now in the mappings there is dictionary, as well as in the sequences there is list, string and tuple. Okay. We'll be discussing each one of them in detail. Okay. So now let's start this session with numbers. Okay. What are numbers? So the numbers data types are used to store the numeric values in Python. Okay, we are going to store the numeric values in Python using these numbers. Okay, so there are three types of numbers. One is integer, floating point numbers, and the complex numbers. Okay, so integers are the whole numbers such as 1, 89, 940, 306, 360, etc. Okay, so all these whole numbers are known as the integers. Okay, they do not have fractional parts in them. Okay, integers can be positive or negative. So, for example, it can be 45 minus 303 minus 9 78, etc. Okay, it can be positive or negative numbers. So now let's go to the next one called the floating point numbers. So what are floating point numbers? A number having the fractional part is a floating point number. For example, it's like 8.9, 9.5, etc. Okay, so all these numbers that has got a fractional part is known as a floating point number. Now coming on to the complex number. Complex numbers are represented in the form of a plus bj, okay, which has a j component or a I component or a imaginary part is known as a complex number. Okay, so now I'll be using the Jupyter notebook to teach you guys. Okay, so here is my Jupyter notebook. Okay, if you want to open it, you can just open it online. Okay, you can just search for Jupyter notebook online and take this notebook. Okay, in the before sessions, I have told you in detail how to open Jupyter Notebook. Okay, so do watch that if you guys don't know. Okay, otherwise you can directly follow the session. Okay, so now I know that all the integers or all the whole numbers are known as integers. But how can we find them? Okay, so we are going to take a variable, right? X is equals to 98. Okay, so 98 is a value, it is an integer stored in x. Okay, x is the variable. Okay, so now if I give print x, then what will happen? Whatever is stored inside the variable x will be shown. Okay, so now here you can see you will get 19. Now you have to find what type of integer it is. Okay, so in Python there is something called type. Okay, so whatever you give to the Python, it only will understand which kind of data it is and will give back to you. Okay, so let's use that. So instead of giving print of x, what do you have to give? Let's try to give print type of x. Okay, so now it will give you what type is x. So here you can see it is an integer. Okay, so now let's do with x is equals to minus 876. Okay, so now let's see what kind of a data it is. Okay, let's try. I'll take another variable. Okay, let's give y. So now also you got that it is an integer. So you know that all the positive and the negative numbers are known as integers. Okay. Now let's go on to the next one called the floating point numbers. Okay. So let's take x is equals to 5 minus 5.67. Okay. I'll take this as another variable. Always I take x and y. Okay. So that's the problem. So now let's give print type of A. So now what you'll get it to be a floating point number. Okay. The next one is the complex number which has got a real part with an imaginary part, right? So let's give 5 plus 3j. Now let's give print of type of A. So now you got that it is a complex number. So you understood that using the function called type, you are able to understand what type of data you are giving to Python, right? So now there is a simple task for you guys. What you have to do is just try to program finding out the numbers, okay, the addition of two numbers. So let me give like x is equals to 5, y is equals to 10. Okay, so this is the program you have to do to find out the addition. Okay, I hope you guys finished writing it. So if you haven't write, you can directly pause this video and then do it, and afterwards you can check. Okay, if you haven't, you have no idea, then you can directly watch my video. Okay, so z is equals to x plus y. So now let's give print of z. Okay, so now you got it to be 15, right? Because x plus y is 15. Okay, and now let's give the type. Okay, type of z, which is said to be an integer because x and y are integers. So z is also an integer. So now let's me give something called y value to 10.987. Okay, so now let's see. The z is 15.987 and it is quickly changed to floating. Okay, because if x and y are both the same, then it will be taking it to be integer. If it is a floating point number, then it will be taking as a floating point number. Z will automatically be that number. Okay. So this is all about the numbers. Okay. Now again we are going to discuss about the string. Okay. So here you can see there is something called string. Okay, which we are going to discuss right now. Okay. So now for the string, let's do x is equals to coding duty. Okay. Now let me give print x because in a string when you are giving you have to give it inside the double quotes. Okay. Don't ever give it like you gave a number. Okay, because string is denoted by using the inverted quotes. Okay. A string means what it is what I'm going to tell you. Okay, a string can hold any type of known characters. They are letters, numbers, and special characters. Okay. For example, let's type like code underscore duty. You can include all the special characters inside the string, but they should be inside the quotes. Okay. So suppose you want to get each letter from this coding duty. What you can do? Okay. So the characters of a string can be accessed using indexing. Okay, so there are two types of indexing that we are going to study today. Okay, one is the forward indexing and next one is the backward indexing. Okay, So now we are going to discuss about the forward indexing and backward indexing. Okay. So let's take the example of the coding duty. Okay. So that is the string. So let's take it. So now here you can see that right, or inside the boxes, right? So I finished drawing. So now we are going about the forward index. Okay, how you can do the forward index. So forward indexing starts from here and it goes on like this. Okay, so this is known as the forward indexing and it's in the direction from the starting to the end. Okay, this is forward indexing. Okay, so now let's start the indexing. Okay, so the indexing number starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Okay, so if you want the letter D, then you have to call the number 2, right? So similarly, what is backward indexing? Backward indexing starts from the right end. Okay, so this is known as the backward indexing. So this starts from 0, 1. No, it's like -1, -2, -3, -4. Okay, and it goes on like that. Okay, 0 means if you give here 0, then the Python will have a confusion, right? Which one to take, right? Because 0 and the C and the Y B has got the same one, isn't it? So backward indexing starts from -1. Okay, -3, minus this is -5, -6, -7, -8, -9, -10, as well as -11. Okay, so this is known as the forward and backward index. Okay, so now I'll show you how to do the forward index and the backward in Python. Okay, so let's get back to our Jupyter notebook. In this, let's type here print x of 2. Then what you'll get? You'll get the letter D. Okay, so what if I give the value 0? I'll be able to get C. What if I give -1? I'll be able to get Y. Okay. Similarly, what you can do is you can give a range of indexing. Okay. So now let's give 1 is 3. Then what you'll get 0 and D. So if you are giving from 1 to 3 means these 3, right? But the 3 is not included. Okay. The starting index is 1 and the ending index is 3, but it will take the values from 3 minus 1. Okay, so now let's give like 5 to 8. Okay, so how will you give 5 comma 8? But Python will take 5 comma 8 minus 1, okay, which is 7. So you will get G, B and U. Okay, now let's try that. 5 is to 8. But you will get G underscore. Yeah, here you have got an underscore. That is why they took that. Okay. Because here you don't have an underscore. That's the reason why you were able to get. Okay. So this is known as the range of indexing. Okay. Now let's discuss about the double quotes and the single quotes. Okay. So if you write x is equals to coding duty. Okay. Now let's give and x. I'm able to get the same thing in double quotes also. Then why do you need a single quote as well as a double? Is what we are going to discuss. So let's write x is equals to coding duties panel. Okay. So now here you can see that after you write coding duties, it thinks that coding duty is over. This is only taken as string and there is a color. Right? So For such cases, what you can do is you can use the double quotes. Okay. So now what you'll be able to get? You'll be able to get coding duties channel. Okay. So for that we are using the single quotes and double quotes. Single quotes and double quotes are used for writing single line sentences. Okay. But you have got something called multiple line sentences for which you have to use three inverted quotes. Okay, three single inverted quotes, right? Hello, subscribe to coding beauty. Okay, so now let's write print y and you will get the output in three different lines. Okay, are we able to see that? Hello, subscribe to coding duty. Got it? So this is all about the string. Okay. Now we are going to discuss about the next one called list. Okay. What is list? So now we are going to discuss about list. Okay. List is a collection which is ordered and changeable. Okay. They allows duplicate members. Okay. So list means it will be a collection of items. Okay, which can be separated using commas inside a square bracket. Okay, we are going to discuss about list, right? So now let's get started. I'm going to create a list of food. Okay, so my variable is food, and inside the square bracket, I am going to write pizza, cake, comma, chocolate. Okay, so now let's give print food. So whatever you give inside a square bracket is said to be a list. Okay, and this contains one or more items. Okay, if you have one or more items, like let's give two pizzas. Okay, still it will be taken. Again, we are going to discuss how you can do indexing in the list. Okay, I'll be copying the same list itself for indexing. Okay. So now we have got the forward indexing as well as the backward indexing for the list. Okay, so if I give 0, it is the pizza, minus 1 is also pizza. So let's try to give minus. Then you will be able to get chocolate. I hope you remember the indexing. Okay, so now let's discuss about how you can change a item in the list. Okay, so here this is the same list, and instead of the last pizza, I want to change. Okay, so what is the last pizza number? It's like the index number is minus 1, right? So let's change it to cupcake. Okay, so if I have to give food of minus 1 is equals to cupcake. Now let's print food. So now you will be able to see that it has changed to cupcake. Similarly, if you want to change it, you can change it using the index number. Okay. So now again we are going to study how you can find out the length of the list. Okay. So let's do food is equals to this. So now let's give print len of food. Okay. So len is the function to find out the length. Okay. So let's give that and you will get it to be 4. So 4 is the number of items in the list. Okay. In the next we are going to discuss about how to append the item. Okay. Appending an item means you are adding an item to your list. Okay. So let's give that. I have to give like x dot append and let's give something called Paula. Okay. So Paula is a food item. So whatever is the food item you want, you can and just press enter. Okay. Yeah, I have to give food dot, right? I forgot and I give x dot. So if I give food dot append, then it will be appending in of the list. Okay.
So now what we are going to do is we are going to insert an element using the index number. Okay, so we want a food in between the pizza and the cake. Okay, so what are we supposed to do? Let's give x dot, instead of x you have to give food, right? Food dot insert of, and then what you have to give is the index number. So let's give 2, which means it is between the cake and the chocolate, right? 0, 1 and 2 is the chocolate, so it will be before the cake. No, yeah, after the cake and before the chocolate. Okay, so let's give it to be cupcake. Okay, so let's give like cupcakes. So now you can just print food and see whether it works. Okay, so now you can see that it is in between the chocolate and the cake. Okay, this is how you insert an element to the list using the index number. Okay, the next are the things that we are going to do in order to remove an element from the list. Okay, so let's do that. I'll be giving food is equals to, now you have to delete it, right? So let's give x dot remove of pizza. Okay, so let's give pizza and let's see whether 2 of the pizzas are going to be removed. Okay, it's not x, it's food, because food is our variable name. Okay, so let's give food and enter, and you can see that the first pizza is removed from here. Okay, so suppose you want to remove an element using the index number. Okay, so you don't want to mention it as pizza, but instead you have to delete it using the index number. So let's do like delete x of food of, right? Food of 1, which means your cake, right? So let's see whether the cake is removed. Let's give print and see. So you can see that the cake is removed, right? The next one what we are going to try is to completely erase the list. Okay, so let's give food dot clear. So now here you can see that it will be completely deleted. Okay, so if I give print food, it will be an empty list. Okay, so now we are going to discuss how you can join 2 of the lists. Okay, so let's take this to be the list 1, and we are taking another list with some fruits. Okay, fruits is equals to, take a list, take it like strawberry, mulberry and blackberry. Okay, so let's take all the berries. Now you have to print them joining together. So let's give print of food plus food. Okay, food plus fruits. Okay, so then you can see that both of them are combined together and it will give you a resultant output, right? So this is the combined one. Okay, so that's all for today's video. In the next video we will be discussing the part 2 data types. Okay, which is the tuple, set and the dictionary. Okay, see you in the next video guys. Bye.